Good morning, everybody. This is Stephen Pugh of the Home Bible College. It's June the 8th today. We're looking at a new book, Esther, the book of Esther. This is the record of the life and the adventures of Esther, Queen of Ahasuerus, who was the king of the empire of the world. He was the king of Persia and Media, and he was effectively the ruler of all the world of his day, and Esther was his queen. But let's read the story from verse 1 of chapter 1. It came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus, this is the Ahasuerus which reigned from India even to Ethiopia, over 127 provinces, that in those days when King Ahasuerus sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan the palace, in the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his princes and servants, and the power of Persia and Media, the nobles and the princes of the provinces being before him, when he showed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honour of his excellent majesty many days, even 160 days. And when these days were expired, the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in Shushan the palace, both unto great and small, 7 days, in the court of the garden of the king's palace, where there was white and green and blue hangings, fastened with cords of fine linen and purple, in silver rings, and pillars of marble, and beds wood of gold and silver upon a pavement of red and blue and white and black and marble. Now just stop a moment. That is fantastic. That is fantastic. These colours, suddenly the ancient world came into glorious technicolor. Think of it. Imagine the pavement being of red and blue and white and black and marble. And they gave them to drink in vessels of gold, and every vessel was unique. Okay, every vessel was unique, different from another, and royal wine in abundance according to the state of the king. The drinking was according to law, none did compel, for so the king had appointed to all the officers of his house, that they should do according to every man's pleasure. They weren't forcing anybody, they just invited people. And Vashti, the queen, made a feast for the women in the royal house which belonged to the king Ahasuerus. And on the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded Mehuman, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, Abagtha, Zithar, and Carcass, the 7 chamberlains that served in the presence of Ahasuerus the king, to bring Vashti the queen before the king with the royal crown, to show the people and the princes her beauty, for she was fair to look upon. Now we don't know what the motives of the king was. Certainly he had reached a pitch of happiness and a pitch of merriment, in which he wanted to show to all the people of the world that were gathered there, not only the greatness of his kingdom, but the beauty of his wife. She was very beautiful indeed. Verse 12. But the queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment. Therefore was the king very wroth, and his anger burned in him. And the king said to the wise men, these are the men who knew the times, for so was the king's manner towards all that knew the Lord and judgment. And next to him was Karshena, Shethar, Adamtha, Tarshish, Meres, Marsina, Memucan, the 7 princes of Persia and Media, which saw the king's face, and which sat first in the kingdom. What shall we do unto Queen Vashti according to law, because she had not performed the commandment of the king Ahasuerus by the chamberlains. Now Memucan answered before the king and the princes, Vashti the queen hath not done wrong to the king only, but also to all the princes and to all the people that are in all the provinces of King Ahasuerus. For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes when it shall be reported. The king Ahasuerus commanded Queen Vashti the queen to be brought before him, but she came not. Likewise shall the ladies of Persia and Media say unto this day, unto all the king's princes which have heard of the deed of the queen. Thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath. If it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persians and the Medes that cannot be altered, that Vashti come no more before King Ahasuerus, and let the king give her royal estate unto another that is better than she. Now, let me read the next bit. And when the king's decree which he had made shall be published throughout all his empire, for it is very great, all the wives shall give to their husbands honour, both to great and small. And the saying pleased the king and the princes, and the king did according to the word of Memucan. For he sent letters unto all the king's provinces, into every province according to the writing thereof, and to every people in their language, that every man should bear rule in his own house, and that it should be published according to the language of every people. So what Queen Vashti had done, she had threatened the authority of every husband in his own home. Now this doesn't mean that these husbands were to be cruel, that they were not to be considerate, that they weren't to be loving to their wives. It just meant that this was interfering with the God-given order in every family in the whole world. The God-given order was that a man should be the head of his own home. That's what she did. So, chapter 2. Then the king's servants that ministered unto him said, Let there be fair young virgins sought for the king, and let the king appoint officers in all the provinces of his kingdom, that they may gather together all the fair young virgins unto Shushan the palace, to the house of the women of the custody of Hege, the king's chamberlain, keeper of the women, and let their things for purification be given to them. And let the maiden which pleased the king be queen instead of Vashti, and the thing pleased the king, and so he did. So he divorced his wife. He put her away completely, and he sought for a new wife. There are people that say, well, of course, it's impossible to have such a thing as divorce. Well, let me explain something. When Esther became queen, she was not an adulteress. No. The previous marriage had been entirely dissolved in such a way that when Esther eventually marries Ahasuerus, it was an honourable marriage, and she was truly married to him. Now in Shushan the palace there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai, son of Jair, son of Shimei, son of Kish, a Benjamite. He was from the same family as King Saul, who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity which had been carried away with Jeconiah king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar the king of Babylon had carried away, and he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther. So Esther was her Persian name, Hadassah was her Jewish name. We don't know her by the name of Hadassah, but basically that was her real name. And he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father or mother, and the maid was fair and beautiful, whom Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took her for his own daughter. And Esther was brought into the king's house to the custody of Hegai, keeper of the women. And the maiden pleased him, and she obtained kindness of him. And he speedily gave her things for purification, which such things as belonged to her, and 7 maidens, which were meet to be given her out of the king's house. And he preferred her and her maids unto the best place of the house of the women. Now Esther had not revealed she had not showed her people or her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she shouldn't show it. You see, she had not revealed her heritage, and Mordecai walked every day before the court of the women's house to know how Esther did, what would become of her. Now when every maid's turn was come to go in to King Ahasuerus, after that she had been 12 months, according to the manner of the women, they had 6 months of oil of myrrh, and 6 months of sweet odours, and with other things for the purifying of the women. Then thus came every maid unto the king, and whosoever she desired was given to her to go out of the house of the women unto the king's house. And in the evening she went, and on the morrow she returned unto the second house of the women, unto the custody of Shashgaz, the king's chamberlain, which kept the concubines. She came in unto the king no more, except the king delighted in her, and she was called by name. See, he remembered her face, he remembered her name. Now when the turn of Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her for his daughter, was come to go in unto the king, she required nothing but what Hegai, the king's chamberlain, the keeper of the women, appointed. And Esther obtained favour in the sight of all them that looked upon her. You see, people looked at Esther and they just loved her. She was not only very beautiful, but she seemed to have something of character. She seemed to have something in her eyes that people liked. It wasn't just beauty, it was beauty of character as well. Verse 17, the king loved Esther above all the women, and she obtained grace and favour in his sight more than all the virgins, so that he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. Then the king made a great feast unto all his princes and servants, even Esther's feast, and he made a release to the provinces and gave gifts according to the state of the king. Now the next part of the story, the virgins were gathered together the second time. Mordecai sat in the king's gate, so he was a person who had some authority in the kingdom. Normally if you sat in the king's gate, you were a magistrate, so he had some sort of a job to do. And Esther had not yet showed her kindred nor her people. Mordecai had charged her, for Esther did the commandment of Mordecai, like as when she was brought up with him. In those days, while Mordecai sat in the king's gate, 2 of the king's chamberlains, Bigthan and Teresh, of those who kept the door, were wroth and sought to lay hand on King Ahasuerus. And the thing was known to Mordecai, who told it to Esther the queen. And Esther certified the king thereof in Mordecai's name. And when inquisition was made of the matter, it was found out, and therefore they were both hanged on a tree. And it was written in the book of the Chronicles in front of the king. Chapter 3. After these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, and advanced him, and set his seat above all the princes that were with him. And all the king's servants that were in the king's gate, they bowed, and they reverenced Haman, for the king had so commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence. Mordecai, you see, he recognized something in Haman. He recognized a wicked man. He recognized an evil man. He would not bow to an evil man. Let's move on down the story. Verse 5, Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence. Then was Haman full of wrath, and he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had showed him the people of Mordecai. Therefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, all the people of Mordecai. Now what Haman was going to do, he was going to bring about a holocaust against all the Jews in all the world. Wow. Verse 8, Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, There is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all people. Neither do they keep the king's laws. Therefore it is not for the king's profit to put up with them. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed. And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver into the hands of those that have the charge of this business, to bring it into the king's treasuries. Now the king took his ring from his hand and gave it to Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, the Jews' enemy. And the king said to Haman, The silver is given to thee, the people also, to do with them as it seemeth good unto thee. Wow, that's a dangerous thing. Then were the king's scribes called on the 13th day of the first month, and there was written according to all that Haman had commanded unto the king's lieutenants, and to the governors that were over every province, and to the rulers of every people in every province, according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language. In the name of King Ahasuerus was it written, and sealed with the king's ring. And the letters were sent by posts unto all the king's provinces, to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old, little, children, women, in one day, even the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and to take the spoil of them for a prey. And the copy of the writing of the commandment was given in every province, was published unto all the people, that they should be ready against that day. The posts were sent out, and being hastened by the king's commandment, the decree was given in Shushan the palace, and the king and Haman sat down to drink. But the city Shushan was perplexed. So people think that post was invented in the 16th, 17th century, but of course there's always been post right in these early days. And so all these instructions went out by post. Chapter 4. When Mordecai perceived all that was done, he rent his clothes and put on sackcloth and ashes, and went out into the midst of the city, and cried with a loud and bitter cry. And his cry came to the king's gate, for none might enter into the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. In every province whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, there was great mourning among the Jews, and fasting and weeping and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes. Then was the queen exceedingly grieved, and she sent raiment to clothe Mordecai, and to take away his sackcloth for him, but he received it not. Verse 7. Mordecai told him of all that had happened unto him, and of the sum of money that Haman had promised to pay to the king's treasuries for the Jews, to destroy them. He also gave a copy of the writing of the decree to show it to Esther and declare it unto her. Verse 11, all the king's servants and the people of the king's provinces do know that whosoever, whether man or woman, shall come into the king in the inner court, who is not called, there is one law of his to put him to death, except such as whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter, so that he may live. But I have not been called to come in unto the king for 30 days. That's what Esther said. Now Mordecai, he says this to Esther. Verse 13, and this is my password for today. He says, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house more than all the Jews. For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then shall there be enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place. But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed, and who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this? So what Mordecai is saying is this: Esther, you won't escape either, nor your house, not your family will escape. All Jews will die if this carries on. And if you hold your peace at this time, if you do not speak to the king, even though he hasn't called you, even though this may mean putting your life on the line, if you don't speak to him, then God might raise up somebody else to deliver the Jews. And he says, and who knows whether you have been brought to this time of your life for this purpose, for this one thing. Then Esther bade them return Mordecai this answer. This is what she wrote back to him. She said, go gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast for me, and do not eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. I also and my maidens will fast likewise, and so will I go in unto the king, which is not according to the law. And if I perish, I perish. Now that's courage. That's courage. This young girl, this beautiful young girl, she's going to go into the greatest monarch of the world. She's going to go in there uninvited, which is a very dangerous thing to do. She's going to put her life on the line for her people. Tomorrow we'll read more about what happens. God bless you. Look forward to speaking to you in the morning. Bye for now.